Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon everyone. Thank you for being here again today, and it's me, Dr. Azrul. Will be here to continue my lecture topic on a new chapter called Exceptions and Assertions. And for today we will be only covering some basic introduction on each definitions and look at several numbers of categories of error, examples related, and exceptions. Here comes the learning objective of the chapter. At the end of this chapter, you should be able to understand the concepts of exceptions and assertions. In general, we are more focusing on the exceptions as compared to assertions. So please focus more on the exception topics. Then you should also be able to analyze and solve common programming problems using exceptions and assertions. Okay guys, these are the chapter outlines. At first, we will look into category of error, and secondly, how to deal with exceptions in a program. At the end of the chapter, we will look at assertions as part of the programming technique that has the similar concept to exceptions. Okay, first of all, what is a program error? And how can you describe a program error? And how do you manage and handle the program error? Okay, we will have a look into the category of error. For your information, in Java programming, there are three categories of program error called syntax error, runtime error, and logic error. Syntax error is the most common one, which arises because the rules of the language have not been followed, such as spelling error and forgetting to include semicolon symbol at the end of each statement. This error will be detected by the compiler and must be fixed before a program can be executed. The second category of error is called runtime error, occur while the program is running if the environment detects an operation that is impossible to carry out. This error falls under one of the category in the exceptions that we are going to learn. One of the best examples for this error is when your program asking an input from user to enter his or her age, okay, which is supposed to be integer, but the user had mistakenly to insert his or her name with string type. Thus, during the runtime, the error is occurred. Then it will be detected by the compiler and your program finally stopped and terminated. And last but not least, we have a logic error that occurs when a program does not perform the way it was intended to, such as you as the programmer has mistakenly to set a wrong formula for any specific calculation in the program. And now we look at the exception topic. According to the previous slide, exception can be set as one of the runtime program error. It is detected by the Java compiler during the runtime or execution time. Due to this error, your program will be stopped and terminated out from the console, and you have to run your program again and again until you can avoid the error from occur again. But this is not the solution. It just seems like the program is not robust enough to handle the array. Do you agree with me? Okay, so what is special about exception? This slide will explain the concept of exception and why we require to learn this topic. Firstly, exception is an unexpected or error condition during the execution of your program. It describes error that caused by your program and external circumstances or event. The biggest impact of exception is that your program will be stopped and terminated without any warning. This situation is really horrible. However, exception can be caught and handled by your program. The technique that we are going to learn is exception handling. To handle exception in a program will involve three main efforts. The first effort is to identify the exception condition which relevant to the program that you build. This effort might take some time consuming as you have test your program repeatedly and accept all types of input and all possible possibilities during the execution time. The next effort is to locate the exceptions handler to respond to the potential condition, which I personally believe that this is a bit technical and challenging. And finally, we have to observe and monitor when such condition occur, our program still keep alive and does not stop or terminated. Okay, now we better to look into an example for better understanding. All right. The following program describes an example of exception. This is a super easy example which requires users to insert a value for numerator and denominator. The program will generate a result that is the division of numerator and denominator. This program is clearly free from syntax error and logic error. The operation of division looks fine in the program until we try to run the program and insert those values. However, if the user insert a value of 0 for denominator, then you surely know that an error will occur. For example, if you insert numerator value of 4 followed by the denominator with a value of 0, which means you are calculating 4 divided to 0. An exception error will occur and it is called as arithmetic exception. The program will be stopped and terminated out from the console. This is what we are going to serve. You have to try this, otherwise you will never know what I am talking about. Okay, according to the following diagram, we can see several types of exceptions such as class not found exception, IO input-output exception, and AWT abstract Windows toolkit exception, runtime exception, and several more classes. We try to skip a moment the rest information from the diagram. Then we put our focus on runtime exception, which can be expanded into several numbers of examples, such as arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, index out of bound exception, illegal argument exception, and etc. To provide better explanation on each exception type, I am thinking to come up with one course assignment, which you have to choose one exception example, describe it, and provide coding example and present it. At the same time, this will also encourage all of you to be more active during this online classroom. Okay, now we move to another example. This exception is also known as input mismatch exception. The example is very straightforward, which require you to insert an integer value to a program. If the user insert an input other than integer format, then the input mismatch exception will be triggered. So how to fix this problem? The slide will give you the idea. The next slide will give you the idea. Okay, exception has their own solution. As you can refer to the following program, we can try to catch the exception before the program got stopped and terminated. We must able to guess which position of the program is the best position to catch the exception. The try and catch keywords in the example given describe the idea on how we can able to catch and handle the exception. Try to do this example and you will understand by looking at the output of the program. Other than the exception, the program that we are constructing cannot avoid from system error. The system error are thrown by JVM, the Java Virtual Machine, and represented in the class error. The error class describes internal system error and it is rarely to occur. And finally, the following slides, okay, sorry. The following slide illustrates examples of system errors such as linkage error, virtual machine error, and AWT error, and etc. As I said earlier in this video, we are not going to put so much focus and concern in this system error topic, but we are more concerning on the exception handling topic. This is the end of our class for today. Thank you for being here and for watching and listening. This is Dr. Azrul. Stay safe and stay healthy. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.